Hello guys. So I decided to put all of my cut content videos of our mainline games into one big package for you all to binge watch simultaneously. So now you know everything that's been cut from Borderlands 1, 2 and 3 with the click of a button. This video is pretty much like your fucking Wikipedia page, right? And it gives you guys a little nostalgia trip of the evolution of yours truly. Yeah, we started this series a few years back. So with all that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
I'll tell you the same thing I told all those who came before you. It doesn't exist.
Changed your reload time. I noticed the reload on that rifle is slow. This is a Jacobs revolver. I like the Jacobs guns. They've got wooden stocks. Wood is very rare on the planet of Pandora. There's no trees, so it has to be imported.
Borderlands 1 is a game that took the world by storm when it first released back in 2009. The vast amount of guns, the build diversity, the characters, the art style was something we've never seen come out of a first-person shooter before. This, at the time, was the studio's second independent franchise released, the first being Brothers in Arms, and sold a whopping 2 million units by the end of its first year. Hey, that almost reaches Jeff Bezos' weekly pay. Fucking nice, bro, yeah. The game was successful. Everyone was playing Borderlands back in 2009, even Jack Black.
Yo, what's Jablins, Jables? Jack Black here. I am so stoked to announce that we are officially gaming.
How are you, sir? You want to jump in this spot right here?
I don't know what it is.
This is all a dream.
But what if I told you Borderlands wasn't always planned to be what we now know and love?
And was originally a much darker game with a ton of foreign design changes which were cut for better or worse. That's right fellas, welcome to my Borderlands cut content series. Each video will be covering every single piece of cut content in each Borderlands game until the release of Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Knowing my upload schedule, we won't even finish this. Starting with Borderlands 1. Oh my fucking god, where do we even start? Yeah, as you can tell by the length of the video, there is so much to cover here. I think we'll start off light and slowly ascend into the jaw-dropping stuff. We're gonna kick off with cut maps. Ooh. Now, as I said, we're starting off light and there's actually only 3 cut maps which we know of. This map is called Oasis and this loading screen image of it is all we know about the actual location. Real quick, let me just say in case anyone in the slight minority is wondering, this map has nothing to do with a very popular custom modded map for Borderlands 1 which is also called Oasis. If you don't know what the modded Oasis map is, TLDR, it's a hub world for all the DLCs where you can travel to any map you want to visit in a certain expansion. With the Oasis mod, gone are the days where you have to drive wherever you want to go, but anyway, this ain't no sponsor, back to it. As you can probably tell, this loading screen seems to have been made very early on in development. The text uses a completely different font, it's actually the font Dahl uses, and the map takes up the entirety of the loading screen, whereas in the final Borderlands 1 build, the maps are usually in the middle of the loading screen, surrounded by darkness. And also, listen, I know some little fucking genius is gonna point this out in the comments if I don't, so let me just mention that there's a 90% chance this is just early concept art for what was gonna become of the loading screen. It doesn't make sense to have a full render here if the map doesn't end up in the game. I'm not sure if I'm the only one here, but when I saw this for the first time, the map that instantly came to my mind is the Trash Coast, the archive map. Anyone else see that? It's all the plants and colours that just really line up. The next map is the Barren, Barrens. This was shown off during one of the first gameplay reveals for the game, and it looks like a pretty generic wastelandy area. I think it kinda looks like a mix between the Salt Flats, the Doll Headlands, and the Overlook from Borderlands 2. It also has a pretty big Halo vibe to it, and there is also a concept for a Crazy O themed carnival shared on ArtStation by a lighting artist over at Gearbox. One pretty interesting thing to point out about this location is the Lucky's sign above the entrance. I feel like this could have been a bigger introduction to the Zafford clan maybe? Next up, there's an unused trailer for copyrighted music. Turn it off, turn it off! Listen, I would play the trailer in its entirety with the original music, but bro, I get claimed for 10 seconds of the goddamn Indiana Jones theme song. I sure as hell am not getting copyrighted by Greenfields by the brother for— okay, actually no, that's a classic, I can't even chat shit there. But yeah, honestly, I can understand why this trailer never released. It really doesn't show anything but the environments, and I can't see how this would get someone hyped for the game. One thing worth mentioning here though is that Firestone was originally spelled properly. I don't know why they changed this. The best thing I can think of is Dr. Zed being canonically illiterate. Forget not going to medical school, this guy didn't go to school in general. Alright, let's get into the manufacturer side of things. As we all know, Borderlands 1 had a total of 10 manufacturers. There was Atlas, SNS, Hyperion, Vladolf, Torg, Tedior, Malouan, Jacobs, Dahl, and Iridian. There was also the shield ones, but who cares. But what if I told you there was once another manufacturer which unfortunately got hit by Randy Pitchford's admittedly drippy Ford Mustang called Caraza? What in the Pokemon sounding shit? Now, everything beyond this point is mainly speculation the community has pretty much settled on, as we know absolutely nothing about this manufacturer except its name. I probably should have made this the first category to cover, but hey, we're here now, it's fine. But apparently Caraza is Italian for cuirass, which usually refers to a breastplate. Yeah, I did have to look that up. Hell you gonna do about it? But yeah, because of this, we've just about come to the conclusion that this manufacturer would only make shields. Next up, you fuckers, we're gonna cover a cut vehicle named the Salt Racer. There's actually not much to talk about here, so we'll just briefly skim over it. The vehicle looked like this. It was originally meant to launch with a base game at launch, but obviously for one reason or another, that never happened. However, they did bring it back in a new form in the Nox DLC as the Racer. Seriously, thank God for the Racer though, Jesus Christ. Travelling through the Nox DLC was probably the biggest pain of all time in Borderlands 1. When it comes to the enemies though, it seems as if Borderlands had set designs from the start of the franchise, as there's only one actual cut enemy. Maybe two if you count this model of Crom potentially being a special type of bandit enemy at the beginning. Yo, I know Crom didn't play a huge role in BL1, but it's kind of impressive how they changed him from a casual enemy to a sort of significant figure in such a short time period. But yeah, I have a question. Do you remember Cyphids? The enemies that Gearbox forgot existed for some reason? Yeah, those guys had a Chad version of them known as the Super Bad Cyphid Warriors. Nothing too special about these guys except the fact that they look nothing like a normal Cyphid, and these are just badass versions of them. Booyaka booyaka, let's move on to the weapons of Borderlands 1, the thing that really made the franchise get a name for itself. I think it's pretty well known that grenade launchers were originally supposed to be a weapon type. This was discovered in the game files, and on God, you'd be surprised by how many there are. Why did they not make it into the final cut of the game? Well, guess we'll never know. But what we do know is that they were manufactured by Dahl, Atlas, SNS Munitions, and Jacobs. Kinda strange since none of these guys made any rocket launchers. Some examples of legendary grenade launchers are the Rainmaker. It was made by SNS, and once the main grenade projectile exploded, it released more Merv grenades, similar to Merv Tedior chucks in BL3. There was the Terror, made by Jacobs, which did nothing special, it just had a lot of damage and accuracy. The Onslaught, made by Dahl, which of course fired in a 6-shot burst. Finally, there was the Atlas Leviathan, which shot a slow-moving grenade that dealt a lot of damage and had a huge blast radius at the cost of 4 ammo per shot. I assume grenade launchers would have had their own special type of ammo. And of course, there were grenade launchers that weren't legendary. For example, Nine Toes originally dropped the, and I quote, the big toe, but that ended up getting replaced by the Clipper, and I believe if you play on PC you can save edit most of these grenade launchers in, which is kinda neat. Just keep in mind they aren't exactly gonna work properly though, for obvious reasons. Finally, for the weapons, we had Iridian Elemental Rifles. No element is confirmed for these bad boys, but it would be kinda cool, and you can't tell me it's not, if these were the only things in the game that shot slag. Like, okay, let's think about it real quick. As a concept, it makes sense that the Iridium weapons fire slag, a debuff element. Just seems kinda cool on paper, to be honest. But yeah, nah, I'm sure it would have just been your typical BL1 elements, and hey, let's not stress over losing these things too much, because did anyone actually use Iridium weapons? Alright, now, it just wouldn't be a proper Borderlands 1 cut content video if we didn't talk about the art style change. How did it go from looking like a generic ass Fallout looking game to this drippy cartoony masterpiece? Well actually, side note, the Fallout analogy I used is actually true, because one of the game's biggest complaints testers had back in 2008 was that it looked too much like Fallout 3. This was a big problem for Gearbox, and keep in mind this was only a year away from launch as well. The game was around 75% of the way done at this stage, and there was a big worry about what they could and could not do because of financial and time reasons. So the answer was left in one Gearbox employee's hands, and after days and days of brainstorming ideas, he just went, oh, fuck it, comic book looks cool. Like, I'm not even joking, this is genuinely what happened. So yeah, they had enough time and they just let developers do their magic. Next up, gamers, we're gonna talk about asset flips and changes with character models. That's right, boys, your girl Lilith wasn't always as hot as she is now.
Lava's rising! Get to high ground!
Though people actually found her hot with her old model, peep this bullshittery.
Ooh, nice body. Who is this chick? The hell is she wearing? Yeah!
Lilith originally had two different designs prior to what we have now. Her first design, the one which people complimented her. Oh. Fuck the lava that's rising, it's my blood sugar levels that are rising. Her first design looks slightly familiar with a few differences and a very similar backstory. During this day, Lilith was called Dr. Lilith Cashlin, and as you can tell, this is before the cel-shaded era for Borderlands began. This design obviously got revamped and adjusted by just a tiny bit before being handed to Dr. Patricia Tannis. Later on, Lilith got the design of Commodore Steel, and I think this would have been a much cooler design for her, to be honest. It definitely fits the mage appeal more. This was also during the pre-cel shaded era, and if you're wondering what Steel looked like at this stage, the answer is she probably wasn't in the game. Well, she was, in a sense, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to story. It's a very different element of Steel. Next up, we have Mordecai. Again, very similar backstory, very similar design too. I really like how they kept the luchador concept from the start, and if you prefer this Mordecai look, then don't worry, because this model is actually still in the game. It's just Reaver who has it now. And Roland is probably the character who had the biggest makeover. His character now looks completely different, and they originally gave him a white skin tone. Like pretty much every other model on this list, the OG Roland can still be found in game in the form of Dr. Zed. They did obviously make some minor adjustments in order to remove the soldier-like appearance though. And finally, we have Crom taking the skin of the special bandit character we mentioned earlier. No, Crypto. What about Brick? Oh right, Brick. Yeah, of course. Well, he wasn't added into the game until very late into the game's production cycle. I assume Gearbox were literally forced to add him into the game later because 2K wanted some 4-player split screen. And yeah. That's it. Moving on to gameplay. Oh yeah, baby. There's a lot. A lot. The video's already long enough, so we're just gonna speedrun through this section like a goddamn CinemaSins video. During vehicle combat, you could lock onto enemy cars if you were the driver. Old UI. It looks incredibly basic. Your characters would appear in the cutscenes more often. I think they only did this in the final cutscene of the final game. Come on, Borderlands 3 man, you're slacking. The quick change stations were called skill distribute systems. You respect and spec into skills here. You couldn't spec elsewhere, so using a skill point seems like it would have been a tedious process. Skills were categorized under 5 why am I doing this voice, man? Skills were categorized under 5 sections, which had a different name for every Vault Hunter. Roland's were called Physique, Roland Focus, Firepower, Gear, and I don't know. The weird thing here, and this could be the biggest gameplay change we've ever had, is the fact you didn't have a large varied skill tree you could spread your points across. You could only select one skill in each category and you'd have to switch them out depending on what you wanted to do. I assume the skills leveled up the more you used them, sort of like the game's weapon proficiency system. Wow though, if Borderlands stuck with this kind of system, so many people would have just never touched the game. It's definitely a huge L compared to what we have now. Imagine a fucking BL3 DLC if we stuck with this. Introducing extra skill tree category for only $15. Make sure to pick your one choice wisely because we have 4 strong selections. Skills are just increased accuracy whilst moving, increased accuracy whilst crouching, increased accuracy whilst sliding, increased Alright. Finally, onto the story section. This might be the biggest but smallest section at the same time because we really don't have much to go off of except a few voice lines from a very small section of the story, but believe it or not, it reveals quite a lot. Now, it was very difficult for me to actually use the audio to make any sort of theories because everything sounds extremely different compared to what we have now, and everyone seems to have different theories on this. So I'll just share some of my takes, but before we get into the key elements, I just want to point out some pretty interesting things.
Weather alert. Static storms expected tonight. Weather curfew will be in effect for 20 hours tonight. Curfew will begin at 93 o'clock.
Sounds like Pandora was originally really going to be a foreign planet with a very different time metric system, but it looks like that concept had been scrapped. This is disproven by Moses Watch in BL3. The time on Pandora just goes nowhere near as high. Next up, we have Alpha Skags. Yeah, they seem to have been way more interesting than just enemies with a larger health bar. Check this out.
If you get lucky and you manage to kill a Skag Alpha, do yourself a favor. Leave the Pearl Stone. Every Skag in 10 miles will smell it. They can smell them through time and across dimensions. They'll hunt it down and kill anything to get it. So don't get tempted. Leave the thing in the dust.
Yes, I understand I'm really reaching with this one and it's probably just a story thing, but listen, today's my day to be philosophical, okay? Leave me alone. Also, in Borderlands 2, we learned that this is how Helena Pierce got half of her face peeled off.
How about this? Lady, I don't even know what to call you. You tell me why you look like you headbutted a belt sander, and I'll let all you go right now.
My husband gave me a Skag pearl ring. The pearl released hunger-inducing pheromones.
I refuse to believe that's the true story. I'm sure he knew and he just decided to pull some sort of epic gamer prank on her. Or he had an affair on her with Tannis and gave this to her because he knew it'll kill her. I don't know. Ooh, that's actually a good plot point, you know? Next up, we have yet another cool gameplay feature told to us through story dialogue. Here, it seems like NPCs reacted differently through dialogue depending on which class you're playing. This later on became a thing in the pre-sequel.
You did what paid, Goggles. Hey, Slick. How's it going? What's up, Muscles?
Mordecai is Goggles, Brick is Muscles, and Roland is Slick. Yeah. Definitely on about the old Roland here. Yeah, I couldn't find any mention of Lilith except her being called Pretty Lady 87 fucking times in a row, so I think it's safe to assume that was her nickname. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Moving forward with the list is something really interesting actually. It looks as if Sanctuary was originally supposed to be in the game as potentially another big vibing hub world area, whatever you want to call it, alongside New Haven.
I was there when the Sandstalker took Leo. He was just walking toward us past the doorway, and then suddenly he was just gone. I just grabbed and pulled him into the cutting storm. Never saw him again. Just like all the others. Bedtime for me. Red shift, you know. Sanctuary out. And this is Sanctuary. It's been 4 days. Give it a rest. Yeah, it's me. Our fearless leader is asleep. Yeah, I got tired of the red shift. I was missing the sunsets. Look, whatever happened at Waterfront, it's more than just a malfunction. They aren't going to answer. Sure, but we're too far. You're stuck in the flats, and New Haven is a bit thin on manpower. No offense, New Haven, if you're listening. I'll bet. Sounds good to me. Sanctuary out.
I'm curious now. I wonder if Sanctuary from Borderlands 2 was influenced by the one which was originally in BL1 by Anyway. There seems to have been a pretty big emphasis on sandstorms and hazards across the planet in the original game.
Weather alert. Static storms expected tonight. Weather curfew will be in effect for 20 hours tonight. Medical notice. Currently, we monitor no biological hazards. Range, safety clear.
I just heard on the radio that they're having another sandstorm over at Asylum. You ever heard of the Sandstalker? It lives in the sandstorms. No one knows what it looks like. No one knows where it hides when the storms are gone. All anyone knows is when the sandstorms come, if they wander too near the edge of shelter, it reaches in and snatches them. Then nobody ever sees them again.
Don't quote me on this, but it sounds like these would have affected gameplay too, and that's super fucking cool. Borderlands 1 is a perfect wasteland environment, and I can totally imagine running away from storms and bandits at the same time. It also seems as if skags and raks were originally very foreign to us in the original game.
At first, we noticed them in the distance, just flying past. Some creature we'd never seen before. We assumed they were migrating. Every day there are more. Every day they get closer. Closer and more aggressive. They'll kill you if you wander too far from the settlement, but we're mostly safe from them here. Over time, they've come to respect our guns. There's something new out there, but now they're showing up in larger groups, 4 or 5 at a time. Now the skags. The skags are nasty scavenging pack animals. They're all over this region. These things aren't migrating. They're moving in. Somewhere nearby, these things, these rack, must have a nest or a hive. We need your team to find it.
I really like this since it really makes the first game feel like it's more about Pandora. I like the emphasis on the planet being a major danger in the game. It's something we really don't have in the Borderlands we know. We just kind of get out of Marcus's van and go with the flow. I actually prefer this sort of narrative. Yo, I shit you not, like 97% of the audio files are about the goddamn rack hive, man. It's so annoying. You know what? Feel my pain, here.
I found the hive. We were wrong. We were so wrong. Sea charges. That won't be enough. You wasted your time. It's coming.
I have the sea charges. Where is the hive?
Sea charges. That won't be enough.
Where is the hive?
Jake, you mean the hive.
Listen, you hear that? It's coming. It's coming.
Jake, I have the sea charges. Where is it? Where's the hive? Jake, what happened? Jake, damn it, where's the hive?
See what I mean? But then again, it's another example of the planet being a bigger danger with us needing to use explosives to take it down. My guess is this was changed in order to fit the RPG elements of the game more. Farming the rack hive would probably have been impossible since to kill him you'd need story items. Kinda glad they made that choice if that's the case. And finally, Steel. Yes, I haven't forgotten. When I say she was kind of in the game but very different, this right here is what I mean. Try to notice at least one difference from this audio.
Off to the west, in the old alien ruins, we have Steel and his so-called brigadiers. They still have the vehicles they stole from us, and they wear the clothes of our dead. But they aren't strong enough to attack us anymore. We aren't strong enough to take them out either.
Straight away from the top of my head, I see that A, she was a guy, fuck, maybe she still is, maybe it's just his siren abilities turning him into a woman, and B, he's a bandit leader. Very big difference from our Commandant Steel, and if anything, I think it's only the name that remains in the final game. But what happened to the original Commandant Steel? Are they gone forever, or are they... Sledge. The Sledge. How do I know this? Well, there's one simple clue that just makes it obvious.
Kill Steel. Without him, the rest won't last. I'll give you 200. And you can keep his damn shotgun.
Oh, I'm very serious, Mr. Steele. I suggest you stand aside. Thank you, Mr. Steele. It even matches my boots.
Yeah, the shotgun. A nice, fancy shotgun the game gave us actual story dialogue for. It's definitely Sledge, come on now. And finally, for the final piece of cut content in Borderlands 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna stick to news with Commandant Steel, as there was a whole cut act that would have delved into her character more and made her, an actual villain.
It's Steel, right? Yeah, Steel is ostensibly the villain.
Yeah, I made an attempt there. The problem was, when I finally put that story together, it was so late in the process that not everybody was embracing everything. And, I'm kind of a soft leader. Like, I'm not going to force stuff if people aren't going to buy it. And I should have. I should have forced more of the team to just, look, we need the villain to come through. Otherwise, it's...
You forget that we lost an entire act.
Yeah,
We
that's
got a
true.
third act
Yeah,
from the game.
that's
Yeah, there was a
to be
whole
able to
another
make the-
section of the first game that we
and
just
she
didn't have
was
time
going to
for.
be there
Yeah.
a lot more. So
Literally, the biggest complaint about Borderlands 1 is that the main villain was never there, and to think that this problem could have been avoided if they just stuck to their original plans is crazy. We could have potentially even figured out what her siren powers were. Like, man, this is such a bummer. But yeah. That's it. There's our ultimate Minecraft Redstone tutorial guidebook on cut content for Borderlands 1. Part 1 out of 5? Finito. This video took a lot of time and effort to make, so leaving a like and hitting that subscribe button would really mean a lot. As a bonus, once you hit both of those, the chances of you getting a girlfriend increase, so yeah, you're welcome. I hope you assholes have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Stay classy. Adios.
Tannis, what was that? An explosion?
Roland's dead? Thank you for telling me. Please go now.
It seems there is more than one way to acquire siren powers. That would explain... yes, anyway.
Everybody said you were dead. Roland said you were dead.
I want it all! Every planet, every star.
This is all my fault. I hide in Sanctuary. He attacks it. I draw some graffiti on his cliff, and he kills Roland. It's my fault, minion, and I'm tired of running.
Wait.
And it goes in one ear, and right out the other. People talking shit, but
We're back, finally. How long has it been since the last cut? A while. Okay, that's right boys, Gearbox is back at it again to bless our souls with some more cut content.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Honestly, I was gonna have this out much earlier, but Wonderlands happened and then summer arrived, so that's great. Had to wait until it rained so I can finally have some slight relief off the pollen demonizing my body. That stereotype that it constantly rains in the UK? Lies. I swear to God, if I see another American in the comment section like, oh, y'all are so weak, man, 30 degrees Celsius, we have like 60 here in the winter. Fahrenheit though, I will literally steal your air conditioning and we'll see who has the last laugh. I won't use it in a video though, because then the audio will sound like this. It's not very efficient, is it? That is a vacuum cleaner. I don't actually own a fan or anything. I ain't no pussy. I say that and then eat 50 ice creams a day. If you didn't know, I'm actually working on a permanent cure for hay fever, so if you are also getting killed by grass, make sure to subscribe and the cure will be delivered to you first. If you don't have hay fever, subscribe anyway. It makes a very cool sound when you click that button. Also, if you like at the same time as someone else, you'll unlock the golden like button. God damn, the golden like button. You guys remember that? God, memories, man. That's the self-promo over. Enough talking about grass. It's absolutely no secret that the Borderlands franchise has had many changes during development and a ton of cut content that was created along the way. Take Borderlands 1 for example. The story was originally completely different. Or Borderlands 3 where Handsome Jack originally returned as the main spoilers, we'll cover that in the next video. And today, I'll be your ultimate catalogue to Borderlands 2's cut content. Just like with Borderlands 1, I believe I have absolutely everything here, and shit, they did a good job hiding it all because the research for this video took like 3 times longer than the Borderlands 1 one. Just like in that video, we're gonna start off with the small stuff and gradually ascend into the bigger stuff, although that's not a promise, because last time we said that a cut vehicle is more important than every cut map combined, and yeah, we just rolled with it. That's bound to happen again. Whatever, let's just kick off with cut items. Now, by items, I'm not referring to weapons or shields, but rather interactable things like the buffs in Bloody Harvest or the health packs in Borderlands 1. Speaking of which, health packs technically originally made a return in Borderlands 2, this time called Turtle Up, and were manufactured by Pangolin. Despite being very similar to Borderlands 1's health packs, they worked slightly different. Rather than just straight up healing you, the turtle up kits gave you 3 minutes of damage resistance and gave you a green on-screen bubble effect. To give you an idea, a similar effect can be seen in the Clan Wars questline, though it appears in a different colour. Also, it's worth mentioning that this will drop from enemies just like money does. From what I can tell, you couldn't straight up obtain these from vendors or anything like that. Wisp jars were also cut from the game. These were one of the buffs you can find in the Bloody Harvest Headhunter, and in short, they came in every element excluding slag, and summoned the ball which followed you around and damaged nearby enemies. Kinda cool, but I imagine it would scale very poorly in endgame. Definitely seems like more of an early game item. Next, there is no next, but there is a next section, so onto the enemies we go. The first enemy we're going to be having a look at is this Stalker X Indo-Tyrant X Coiled Hybrid. Seriously, this guy ain't like the other girls. This one's quirky. I should also clarify that once again, yes, I am counting unused concept art as cut content. Going off of its uniqueness, I genuinely have no clue where they would fit this in the current BL2 we now have, but I'm gonna give it a go anyway. Now trust me, I ain't no animal expert, but I have a goldfish, so I'm more than qualified to confirm that these things on the dinosaurs are scales, and obviously scales are used to do something underwater. Notice how the British guy said water and not water? Yeah, actual god moment. Also, their tails do give off some sea creature vibes, so maybe, and this is my guess here, they could appear in Wambam Island, because that is a very watery environment. Ooh, okay, this one's an interesting yet well-known one you can find in the game files. It looks like Motor Armor from the Campaign of Carnage DLC was originally a raid boss. Now I personally am a very big Pyro Pete stan, so I'm glad he made the cut. I don't really see how you can make Motor Armor an intense fight. Like, what are you gonna do, just make it turn around faster? Coming up next is Roscoe's Children. 4 of them as raid bosses in the Hammerlock DLC. This was actually scrapped along with the cut audio of Shade informing you that Roscoe has given birth to many children and you should hunt them all down. Very strange that they're found in the Hammerlock DLC's files instead of Captain Scarlet's, but okay. Anyway, the names of the 4 children were Roscoe Jr. the Invincible, Phaetus the Invincible, Hageram, Haram the Invincible, and of course, finally, Torflux the Invincible. Not gonna lie, it sounds kinda interesting, but fighting 4 raid bosses which are the same species could get a bit boring. And finally, this one can be found in the game files too, a Chrysalisk raid boss. Ooh, what? I genuinely had no idea about this until I did my research for this video, and this fight could be awesome if you ask me. I can imagine the crystal mechanics being super fun, unlike some other crystal mechanics. And Chrysalisks are just fun enemies to fight, to be honest. Also, I wonder if it could be a good money farm considering Chrysalisks drop tons of it. Moving on to the weapons, and the first one is less of a weapon but more of a manufacturer. I'm not gonna make a whole section for one manufacturer, you know, and that manufacturer is Atlas. Yeah, the Atlas logo can be found in the game files, so it seems as if they were originally going to return. And yeah, that's it for manufacturers. Like I said, there's only one. There's no trace of SNS munitions. I'm sorry, boys. Honestly, they're overrated anyway. The first actual weapon we're going to be having a look at is the infamous effervescent variant of the Infinity Pistol, also known as the Fire Drill. Unlike the Infinity, the Fire Drill came in fire and fire only with a 100% ignite chance, which is kinda cool. And apart from that, there's nothing else to note. Just like every other effervescent, it's just a clear copy and paste with some changed stats, and no, unfortunately, you cannot save edit and use this item in game. I'm not sure if you would count this as cut content, maybe it's more of an Easter egg, but I'll throw it in here anyway. You know your favorite raid boss, Master Gi? Well, the rocket launcher he holds can actually be save edited into your game. It's known as the error message, and it's actually fully functional. The red text is "this gun should never drop," and yeah, looking back on it, it's definitely an Easter egg. Why the fuck did I put this in here? Next, as we all know, legendary grenades exist in Borderlands 2, and every manufacturer has made them except Bandit. For whatever reason, there's no legendary Bandit grenades in BL2. But, little did you know, there is material for them. Material is just a fancy word for texture, or for you under 12s, Fortnite skins but for items. So that clearly indicates they were once planned, but never became a reality. There was also Slag Nova and Slag Spike shields at one point, and the weapon design for most guns was completely different. Like, for example, Bandit originally had a more COV-like look to them, and TDO had assault rifles. And judging by how they look, you can probably tell other TDO weapons originally had a different theme to them as well. Oh yeah, and since we're here, I feel like I should point out that we've been saying Vladov wrong all along.
Oh hell yeah, that's a Vladov.
Oh my goodness, guys, would you look at that? It's the infamous Vladov Shreddifier. Damn, okay, what do we cover now? Story or gameplay? Gameplay or story? Which is less important? I guess gameplay? For this, we're going to be having a look at various trailers and tech demos from before the game released. The first tech demo I'll be showing you is from 2011 and was originally shown off at PAX West, I think, probably. Whatever, man. Who cares where it's from? Circular minimap. Is it just me, or does our current one just look much better? So you know the section where you need a bandit technical from the dust to honk at a bandit gate in the Three Horns Valley? Well, it looks like that originally wasn't necessary at all, as all you had to do was shoot the chain open. On God, wish this stayed. I hate the dust. Oh yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, very different bandit gun design. It also looks like the Borderlands 1 money UI originally made a return.
This weapon that we're using, check this out. This is called a TDR manufacturer. This manufacturer is like the Walmart of gun manufacturers.
Top tier commentary, Randy. Yeah, weapon cards definitely looked very different at first, but the current vibe is still kind of there. Badmore was originally called the Torturer, which sounds 10 times more badass, but honestly, it's a type of name you'd see in Borderlands 1 rather than 2. Okay, onto the skill tree menu. Right away, you'll be able to notice that Salvador has a different pose, and that some skill logos look different. I mean, even the description of Gunzerk, which was originally called Dual Wield, was better and more simple. We also had a cut skill called Green Fire, which, in short, if you corroded an enemy on fire, it would run to other enemies and set them on fire. Kinda cool, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, it would definitely perform like shit, especially late game, so I understand why they removed it, and I'm glad. Dude, look how cool the loading screens looked. So much saturation, so different, so long. Jesus Christ, man. Thank God for SSDs. I really like how originally when you entered the Bloodshot Ramparts, there was a long elevator to take you up. In the final product, we just get there through a door. It doesn't really make much sense considering it's so high up. Like, it's a dam, yet we entered the structure from such a low area. You discovered Bloodshot Ramparts. The You Discovered font is different. It's not huge, but it's cut content, okay? It also looks very Fallouty, which, if you recall from the last Borderlands cut content video, was a very big inspiration for them. Warden was originally blue. Yeah, Blue Warden. Spread the word, I guess. And his introduction is followed by this really dope Roland title card, which I really like for some reason. Also, Roland has his BL1 design. Watch out! You hear that? Is that energy from Roland? What is this bullshittery I see before my very eyes? Yeah, it sounds like they brought back his original voice actor, which... was there really a need to replace him anyway and make Roland the most boring dickhead of all time? Warden was originally fought on the run. I assume if you didn't defeat him in time, Big Smoke calls you up like...
all we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ!
Finally, for this tech demo, after defeating Warden, a loader knocks you off of a dam and you get this very cool looking cutscene. Now this could have been for cinematic purposes to make people shill for the tech demo later on, but I'm doing the same thing with this video, so let's just act like this was originally going to happen, please. Lengthy tech demo numero uno finito. Let's check out a smaller one to let your brain rest for just a tiny bit. Oh shit! I actually do know where this one came from. Sweet. In the Gamescom 2011 tech demo, you can see that Bullymongs originally had their own title card. Interesting. Won't lie, if they did this for every enemy in the game, I would probably have a stroke, but interesting. And yeah, that's that one over and done with. I told you it's a smaller one. Next up, I want to point out an interesting find after looking back on one of the trailers for the game. In the Borderlands 2 Doomsday trailer, you can see Terramorphous and the Three Horns Divide. Now this could be just for promotional reasons, because as we all know, even Borderlands 3 overdid this with putting characters out of place, but let's not rule out the possibility. Alrighty, hope you enjoyed your rest, but I am once again asking you to pay attention since we're going to be having a look at another large tech demo. This one is from... dunno. First interesting thing to point out is that when guns zerking, Salvador's action skill duration is displayed through a ticking watch at the bottom rather than just a depleting slider going from top to bottom. We had some rocket launchers that shot white stuff. I'm not gonna make a cum reference today. Cum reference? What the fuck is a cum reference, man? When you and your friends dueled, you had no dome around you, which could have created potential for some very fun sniper battles. Yeah, removing this was a pretty big mistake, man. The inventory UI looked slightly different. The grenade logo at the bottom is more rotated. Oh boy. Borderlands 3 called and said you liked screen pollution. Introducing Borderlands 2's unreleased corrosive dot. Like, ew, the fuck is that, man? How do you expect me to see? Rumor has it, this is the first thing Amy Schumer's child sees during birth. And one more thing, and I believe the final thing for the gameplay section, so we're gonna end it big, is that your hipfire aim when using a sniper rifle originally had a dot in the middle to indicate where you're aiming. Onto story we go. There is so much, man. And now, a word from our sponsor. My Discord server. Gonna get this out of the way fast, but honestly, I was recently wondering why the place isn't as active as I thought it would be, and that's because I haven't promoted the place on the channel for over a year, and I feel like I owe it to the cool guys who are still constantly active there to give them some attention. So y'all should totally join. It's completely free, and we have a ton of epic conversations there, and not to get you too excited, but joining puts an extra 5 inches on the girth of your arsehole. So yeah, become one with the kittens. Link in the description. Ad over. Now, I'm a gameplay guy, so I'd always put that above story, but after doing all this research, every Borderlands game really has the most cut content in the story section. So much so, actually, that I'll only be showing you the big and interesting stuff, or else we'll be here for an entire decade, you know? I'm not gonna be showing you things like cut vendor voice lines, because there's like 10 minutes total of them, and do any of us really care?
Bandit guns! Bandit guns! Yeah!
But the only piece of dialogue I will point out that doesn't directly link to the story is the new you respawn station. So you know how when you respawn you get this sassy, underpaid Hyperion employee speaking to you? Well, originally it was Handsome Jack. Yeah, here, have a listen.
This is hilarious. I own the machine that just respawned you. So every time you die, you're actually paying me. Wait, is that ironic, or is that one of those things you think is ironic but actually isn't? Like a cripple doing stand-up? I don't know. Thanks for dying. I just bought a pony made of diamonds. I'm considering going cha-ching right now, but that would be really immature. So let's just say that with 10% of what you just paid me by dying, I could cure universal hunger. But no, that money was better spent reviving you.
Now, fun little fact for you, these voice lines were actually present in the Switch version of BL2 at release. Now, I don't think they patched it out and they could still be in the game. Don't quote me on that, I don't have a Switch, I haven't checked, but I saw it on Reddit, so there's enough confirmation. Alright, it's time to go to the start of the game.
So we really liked that idea, but there was a beginning of the game, a whole different beginning of the game that was like, Handsome Jack was running this Coliseum and you were going to be in it, and he was going to like betray you midway through and take all your guns and kick you out into the tundra. And the reason for that initially was like, well, let's have Handsome Jack do something personally violent and aggressive to you so that you don't like him, so it's more of a revenge story. And then we sort of changed that around because we weren't doing enough things with like making the vault and alien lore matter and stuff like that. So we instead started you off in the tundra, which is cool, but like, oh shit, now that whole point of our game, the entire point of our game being kill this one guy, you don't ever meet him.
Yeah,
now.
It was because you spent the first 5 to 10 minutes, you know, fighting in his Coliseum, and then you win, you're the grand champion, and then your reward was, look at all these guns, and you're like, yeah, you grab them all, and then he was going to just be like, yoink, and take them all away. And
We had I think it was Mikey had an idea for the character select screen where your cursor, part of me still wishes we had done this, where your cursor was Handsome Jack's gun, and you were going through the train, and the door was open on the train, and all the player characters had their hands tied behind them, as you could see the sort of landscape going by, and the gun was your cursor, and when you would move the cursor to the other Vault Hunters, he would go eeny, meeny, miny, and whenever you chose your character, he'd go mo, boom, and shoot them, and they'd fall out the back of the train, and that would be like the character you'd chosen.
And then you also had these Vault Hunter introduction lines, similar to how Marcus introduces you in BL3.
A commando, courageous and driven. A siren, whose wisdom is matched only by her beauty. The gunzerker, who makes up in brute force what he lacks in subtlety. And of course, the epitome of precision, the assassin. The power inside the next vault could bring peace to Pandora. Only badasses like you could brave the horrors of Pandora and find it. Which is why you've gotta die.
I'm fairly certain these were gonna play before Jack was supposed to shoot with a playable character.
I hope that didn't hurt too much. Think of me like a safety net. I took the liberty of uploading your DNA to a new use station here on Pandora. Not everyone on the planet can afford this luxury, so be aware this will cost you money every time you die.
Yeah, understandable why they removed this.
Are we at Liarsburg? I don't need my eye attached to remember those sounds. Minion, you've outdone yourself. I haven't been anywhere near this place in over 4 years!
One ticket to Minions Rise of Gru, please.
Minion! 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 Everybody! Everybody! Minion! Minion!
Have you seen that UK cinemas actually banned wearing a suit to that movie? God, wild times, man. That's a top 10 Watch Mojo video for the weirdest laws of all time. But nah, I do get it on one hand though, because there are those utter pricks who just go into the cinema to talk or throw bananas at people, believe it or not. And if you're one of them, just die.
And open! Remix! Open! Open!
God, 2012 was just a different breed, man. I wouldn't be surprised if the mission had Skrillex playing in the background as well, to be honest. Your first interaction with Scooter was originally pretty different after he catches you hacking his catcher ride in the beginning.
Whoa, you really think you're just getting away from hacking my business? Now, I ain't no genius, but I'm also an idiot, you feel me? You and me? Gonna have face-to-face soon. Oh shit, I remember you.
Now get the hell out!
Ha, you be that crap-cracking son of a bitch who hacked one of my catcher rides. Told you we'd meet mono, gender inspecific mono.
Yo, lads, you know how BL2 makes it pretty obvious that Jimbo Hodunk is Scooter's father? Well,
Liking it. Last fuel cell now is in my safe in Marcus's bank, also known as my dad, and also to some, a staggeringly alcoholic arms dealer. Yeah, we're a tight-knit family that rips each other off to various business ventures and the such.
Bruh. You're a doll. Fink's in the bathroom. Lucky man. Wish I had someone like you looking for me.
Catch me if you can, sucker!
Fink ran out on you? His shield shrugs off bullets like nothing. But it'll break into pieces if you punch it in the right spot.
Shooting won't do any good. Chase him down and punch him out. He's winded. Now's your chance.
I'm not squawking about the Firehawk! You'll have to smack it out of me!
After multiple reminders, you end up beating the shit out of Fink and start your journey to finding the most annoying redhead woman in the universe. Everything mostly plays out the same after that, up until we find out the hidden tinderbox in Tundra Express was hidden there by Roland.
I stashed a fire weapon in one of the snowmen if you need it. Just shoot the snowman in the head and you'll get your gun.
Nothing major, but hey, kinda cool. I bet you didn't know that, did you? We always thought that was just random or an Easter egg by the devs. No, Roland left it there, okay? Life-changing information.
So let me get this straight. Mordecai, a staggering alcoholic whose best friend is a bird, told you about some power cores on one of my impossibly guarded trains, and you went with it. Seriously. Were you Vault Hunters dropped on your heads as embryos?
He has a point. A bit of a well-known one here, but the reason why Wilhelm could defeat a bunch of level 69 Vault Hunters but not a level 10 one is because Jack poisoned him right before the fight.
So, Wilhelm nearly killed your Vault Hunter friends a couple of years ago and you just blow him away like any other grunt? Yeah, that's because I poisoned him before you guys fought. Worth it, though, to make you think I didn't want you to have that power core. But, psst. Spoilers. I did.
Roland originally foreshadowed his death because, you know, well, why not? What an M. Night Shyamalan twist that is. I did not see that coming.
Oh. Time to think up some memorable last words.
This is all my fault. I hide in Sanctuary. He attacks it. I draw some graffiti on his cliff, and he kills Roland. It's my fault, Minion, and I'm tired of running.
Yeah, Claptrap blaming himself is kinda depressing, but if you didn't know, we're just gonna put that aside. When he mentions Jack's cliff, he's alluding to Mount Jackmore, a cut side mission where you have to blow up a literal mountain with Jack's face on.
Have you seen that mountain Jack is chiseling his likeness into? Talk about an eyesore! Were I a younger robot, I'd head up to that mountain and blast Jack's face right out of it. But I'm not, so you'll have to.
Obviously, this didn't make it into the final cut of the game, but it was referenced in the Borderlands 3 So Happy Together trailer, which was kinda cool. Shout out to all my 0.5% of homies who actually understood the reference. And speaking of which, it looks like Claptrap built himself a pair of legs and actually made it to the Vault of the Warrior, but he was a bit late to the party.
That's right, Jack! I conquered your stairs! Prepare to feel the wrath of a Claptrap with legs! Aww! He's already dead?
Just like everyone else was late to his. And I think that's it for the story, right? No, it isn't. Oh wait, no, it isn't. You guys remember Lieutenant Davis by chance? You know, the Lieutenant Davis who opened the door for you that one time and then got nuked? Well, it turns out he originally survived. Very cool.
We're going to avenge Roland. I promise you that.
And that is it for the main story. Nope, no, it's not. Crypto from the future here, hello. I forgot to include this in the video because I'm an actual sped, but there's a side mission that exists in the base game called Bearer of Bad News, except the feature where you can tell Tina that Roland died was removed.
Roland's dead? Thank you for telling me. Please go now. Here, I was saving this for a rainy day, but I hope it can help you take down Jack. Please go now.
And that is it for the main story. Now, I bet you're thinking, oh, I'm so excited for him to talk about the DLC, but honestly, nothing of importance changes. Literally, it's just filled with alternate lines. It's not really worth mentioning. Except one. Commander Lilith and the fight for Sanctuary originally teased Tannis becoming a siren in the Sirentology quest, but obviously, this didn't end up happening.
Okay, I'll dish. I got a complete history of Angel's phase shift capabilities. Apparently, her powers didn't manifest until she was 5 years old. When did yours first appear, Lilith?
That's weird. I was born with mine.
It seems there is more than one way to acquire siren powers. That would explain... Yes, anyway. Good mission, everyone!
I assume because they thought it would be a much better idea to completely spoil it a month or two later in a Borderlands 3 demo showcase just because they had to promote Ice Cube.
Navigated!
Seriously, great job, Gearbox marketing team. Y'all a bunch of fucking geniuses. Okay, Jesus Christ, I've been recording for around 1 hour and 53 minutes and I think I've covered just about everything, so I think now's a pretty good spot to end the video. The next cut content video we have coming up is, what, the pre-sequel, right? I don't even know if that game has enough to make a whole video on, but I guess we'll find out. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed, hope it was worth the wait. It better have been. I bought BL2 on PC for this just to look at the game files, so I'm hoping I'll break even with this video. And yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Stay classy. Peace.
Vault Hunter, you can trust Creed.
I still decided we were better together, but like everything else, it wouldn't last.
There are 6 sirens in the universe, and I used to be one of them. I was once lucky enough to share that gift with Maya.
When we first started writing the story for Borderlands 3, Handsome Jack was going to return as the villain.
Fellas, I think it's time for me to finally come clean and acknowledge some of the mistakes I've recently made. Each video will be covering every single piece of cut content in each Borderlands game until the release of Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Yeah, I did not fulfill that promise. It's actually, we're 8 months late now, Jesus Christ. Listen man, the reason why I'm so far behind on the original deadline is because I've been doing my taxes, alright? I just finished, so we're ready to continue the series now though. Actually, wait, how did I kick off the BL2 video again? Honestly, I was gonna have this out much earlier, but Wonderlands happened and then summer arrived, so that's great. Had to wait until it rained so I can finally have some slight relief off the pollen demonizing my body. Yeah, safe to say you can probably expect to see the same sort of shit for the one after this as well. But yeah, nah, I'm sorry, okay? These just take ages, and I mean fucking ages to make, but hey, we're slowly getting there, right? We're slowly but surely getting to the end. I heard apologies go off better when you show a dog in a video. Unfortunately, my landlord, the dickhead, doesn't allow dogs on the property, so I had to settle for the next best thing, and come on, I'll gladly take your currency of sympathy now. You do know if they don't forgive me, I'm not gonna feed you, right? But apart from that, I bet you're sitting there wondering, Crypto, where is the pre-sequel? There isn't gonna be a pre-sequel video. As much as I love that game, don't get me wrong, I love the game to bits, but I don't think they could afford cutting anything, so there's like 2 cut pieces of content that I can think of. One being the whole Luxie Space Adventure DLC, which I already made a video on, and the other being shift coins, which were literally just a different way of opening the golden chest. Yeah, there you go, your pre-sequel video in 5 seconds. Now imagine my ass trying to turn that into a half-an-hour video. Yeah, not happening. And so today, we're gonna be covering Borderlands 3's cut content. As always, if you're new to this series, this is where you watch days of my research get clowned on by some prick in the comments saying stuff like, actually, you didn't cover everything, you missed a piece of idle dialogue. Please don't be that guy. Here we basically cover all the cool and interesting pieces of content which got removed from Borderlands 3 and never saw the light of day. And let me tell you, get your antidepressants ready because some of this is just gonna make you cry from pain, and I don't think you'll see Borderlands 3 in the same way ever again. And in case you're wondering, I'm not just going to be covering the things revealed in the Director's Cut DLC. Sure, I'll be using some of it, but the wide majority is hidden in game files, and Gearbox really doesn't want you knowing about it. Yeah, that's what you get for patching my out of bounds glitch, you demon. As always, we're going to kick off with the small stuff and gradually work our way up to the big, and that means we're going to kick off with emotes. Yeah. Now, I placed emotes at the bottom because I'm not joking here, there's literally only one cut emote. One. And that emote is none other than Le Dab. Truly a how do you do fellow kids moment. Now you can't actually get this emote to work in game, it's just there laying alone in the code, and actually thinking about it, I did have a glitch one time when the Krieg DLC released, where whenever I opened my emote wheel, the dab emote icon was just there, which was really bizarre. I felt like that shit was haunting me. Hey, I'ma be honest, not gonna lie, kinda wish they kept this in game because it would be pretty funny to do stuff like, I don't know, pull a devious dab over Maya's ashes, or dab over Mordecai when you beat Gracie's high score in that one side mate. Jesus Christ, I'm fucking evil. But oh well, I guess we'll just never get to see it in action. Can't believe they got me sad over a fucking dab, man. Next up, I want to talk about items, and now this is a very interesting one. So in Borderlands 2, we had items like Zed's health packs and wisp jars, which were cut completely, whilst here it feels like some of the cut content was always intended to be brought back at a later date, which honestly really just proves this game wasn't launched in a finished state. Firstly, the diamond keys which we received in DLC 5, the designer's cut, were meant to be here from the very start, and presumably in the exact same room too, considering the diamond vault was the only door in Sanctuary you literally could not open until the DLC dropped. And yeah, this low-key sucks. This would have been such a huge help back when legendaries and anointments were rare, but But nah. Let's add it when you can get 63 legendaries from killing one tink in the slaughter shaft, and you know what, fuck it, let's just drop the Schluter a month later for even more world drops. Let's make the Diamond Vault even more useless, why not? Another leaked item was the Vault Hunter's artifact, and yeah, this is a returning item from Borderlands 2, which would have genuinely been a very nice throwback. Who knows why they cut it, because from what I can tell by testing it, it works, there's no flaws with it whatsoever, but oh well, I guess it got reincarnated in the form of the Schluter. And finally for the item section is a trinket, and the only trinket that got cut from the game, and that is the Whittle Warrior trinket. And man, I would have never expected to call this guy cute, but he cute, baby, he cute. And that is it for the item section. Next up we're gonna cover... that's a tough decision actually. How about, we'll do anointments. Yeah, fuck it, we'll do anointments. Now, all the anointments that I'm about to list have previously been in the game before but got cut because you'll understand when you hear them. Of course, we had ones like the infamous while airborne and while sliding anointments, which were fun when you were cryoed. Those anointments had buffs such as whilst airborne, crit damage is increased by 25%. Do I look like a phase member? How do you expect me to jump hit headshots and only reward me with 25% more damage? Like, what? While airborne, damage is increased by 30%, fire rate is increased by 20%, and finally, accuracy and handling are increased by 75%. Okay, like, I don't even know what to say about this. I'd usually point and laugh at stupid shit like this, but this is such a negative IQ decision that genuinely makes me wonder if the person who came up with this is mentally insane. Still probably the most sane Gearbox developer now that I think about it. Then you add while sliding, damage is increased by 40%, accuracy and fire rate is increased by 25%, and finally we had a pretty unique one where when you slide you built up energy that refilled your shield. This is actually the only sliding anointment I wish they never removed, because I'm sure if it was in the game for a little longer we could have at least found one cool interaction with it. After that we had while action skill is active, you reduce all incoming damage by a small amount, which is, you know, nothing too special, but this next one, oh, this is the definition of potential. While an action skill is active, 250% of health damage taken is returned to the attacker as shock damage. You thinking what I'm thinking? Nudge nudge, cough cough. Next we have these basic ass action skill end ones, like crit damage is increased by 25%, fire rate and reload speed is increased, movement speed is increased by 5%, 30% of damage taken is returned to the attacker, accuracy and hang yourself. Okay, to be fair, it makes sense here. You don't have to jump around like you're some schizo Tuco Salamanca cosplayer seeing meth flying around you. You can just stand still, so we'll forgive him. Now, these ones here, they're a little bit interesting because they were in the game for a very short amount of time and were honestly some cool and unique gimmicks. First off, we have on action skill end create a cyber spike that damages nearby enemies, and second is on action skill end spawn a healing pool for several seconds, both of which I believe were added with the Cartels event, and whilst I can't think of any interactions with these anointments, I do think they're kinda cool either way. And finally, we have 3 action skill specific ones. After exiting Iron Bear, do not consume ammo for 5 seconds. Gonna be honest, I'm quite surprised they removed this one. I remember this being pretty popular back in the day. God, back in the day. I'm really hitting a midlife crisis here, aren't I? After using Phase Slam, damage reduction and movement speed are increased. And for the very final anointment that was cut from Borderlands 3, we have, after using Phase Grasp, weapon handling and accuracy are increased. Swear to God, these devs think we aim like this. And that is a wrap on anointments. Good news though, if you think any of these pique your interest, you can actually use them right now through the power of save editing. That's right, the modders are blessing the Borderlands community once again. Time for the vehicle section, and I think you're definitely gonna like this one. Tank. You could drive a fucking tank. Just remember what they took from you, man. The formal government name for this vehicle is the Emperor, and it appeared on some of the OG Borderlands 3 marketing material. It was meant to be your regular vehicle that you can just drive around whenever and wherever you want, but now I guess that'll never see the light of day. Now, the vehicle section is definitely one of my favourite pieces of cut content from this game, and it's not just because of the Emperor, but because of a vehicle trailer. And this looks so much fun. Like, okay, I don't see what purpose this would serve other than just sticking around, and that might ultimately be why they decided to not release it, but man, this game is advertised as a co-op game. Let us have our fun, please. As for vehicle parts, there was quite a lot that was cut. For example, we have propelled bombs, which is not a huge loss for us. These literally just look like normal Bandit technical barrels, but reskinned. But something I wish they did keep are these cryo and fire boosters for your cyclones. You can't tell me they don't look badass. Like, if I saw someone like that on the road, I'd probably think they're Ezra Miller. And to conclude vehicle parts, we have this spiky wheel thing on the front of the technical, and god, it just pisses me off that I don't know what these are called. Man, they had them in the first Cars movie when they got chased by the tractors. Yeah, those things. And just like that, the vehicle section comes to an end. Now, on to my personal favourite section of this entire series. It's time to cover UI. So, I personally think Borderlands 3's UI when in normal gameplay is near perfect. Don't even get me started on the inventory though. But some people may prefer the Borderlands 2 look, and that's what one of the original UI styles look like, which is pretty cool. It also had the addition of a circular minimap, which... I swear to god they try this in every game and it never works. The second and final scrapped UI design that we know of is this one, and yeah, I think we can universally agree that... Ew. No. Scrapped UI in a Borderlands game of course means that the inventory originally looked different, and here it is. It looks very... MMO-like? I don't know, I kinda like it, but I prefer the current one, and come to think about it, me complimenting the one we have now means something is definitely wrong. We also had the original Guardian rank system. Honestly, there is literally no difference here except that it was originally called Badass ranks, just like in Borderlands 2, and yeah, that's it. We had the original skill tree design, and bro, this looks like Randy gave them 5 minutes to design some random shit, and that's what they came up with. Ew. No. You know, old UI is usually very good in these games, but with BL3, I'm very glad they made the changes they made. Now we're gonna talk about them goofy AR hallucinations that look creepy as shit, with a real life person randomly popping onto the screen pretending to be both Lilith and Tannis. Let's be honest, none of us like it. Well, originally, Lilith had the same actress she had back in Borderlands 2. Yeah, I don't know, I just think this looks so much better. Like, the new Lilith with that creepy ass smile just gives me Jeff the Killer vibes. Not a huge thing here, but certain characters had different echo portraits. Tyreen here can be seen with her concept art in one scene, and although this has a chance to be a placeholder, it actually looks really fucking good, right? And then the final one that we know of is Claptrap with a bullet in him. When did he get shot? No idea. Okay. Now onto your social tab. Probably the most notable thing is the collections section at the top. If I had to guess what this is, then I'd assume it's where you can see and replay your collected echoes. My guess is that they had a different location at the time. And the other pretty big and surprising thing here is that there is a raid matchmaking section. Now this could be referring to takedowns, and there is a takedown matchmaking section in the actual game now, but think about this. There were no takedowns at launch, so my guess is that there were either raids we've never heard of before, or this could be associated with Heme of Horus because that fellow was meant to be in the game at launch. And finally, in the UI section, we have the main menu, and we're going to be talking about the main menu. Yeah, I kind of like how it originally looked. I probably prefer the current one, but I wouldn't be mad at all if this was the version we ended up getting. I like the simplistic look. Oh, there was also a store section there. Yeah, that's it. Moving on. Art style. To kick this section off, I think we should discuss the various cover arts the game almost had before it settled for the masterpiece we have now. There were a good 12 concepts, and honestly, I only like 1 or 2 of them. I certainly don't like this one, but yo, if feet are your thing, then you may feel differently, and I respect that. We had this bright pink one where the Psycho is shooting himself, which... cool idea, I guess. There's the female Psycho shooting herself. I think it'd be pretty awesome if we had a different gender on the cover, but the execution is just mid in my opinion. Like, this shit just looks bland, bro. We have this one where the Psycho is shooting himself in the head. Would look okay if this was the first Borderlands game, but otherwise kinda looks generic. Psycho on a wrecking ball? I actually love it. Okay, now this one is hot. I do like. Nah. What is this even meant to be? A Psycho having withdrawals. I guess it looks cool. What? I like it? I don't know. And finally, no. Cool concept, but bad execution. And those are the covers out of the way. Which one is your favorite? I'll be honest, I'm happy they stuck with the original one we have now. And after covering OG cover art designs, it's only right that we cover OG Vault Hunter designs, and some of these are pretty dope. For example, I love how Zane originally looked in this concept. It gave him some rich Hyperion Corporation vibes, and I think they should have gone along with this. Like, they nailed it here. There's also the design here on the left, which place this guy as a normal enemy in Lynchwood, and I wouldn't think there's anything special about him. He just doesn't stand out. He also had this design, which made him look like an emo biker Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil, and I kind of fucks with it. And the final designs for Zane were these. Most noticeable thing from them to me is that he's holding two weapons in almost each design, which makes me think Zane could have originally had a Gunzerkin ability. That's just cursed to think about. As for the other Vault Hunters, Amara didn't really have anything else going for her. I mean, she had these various clothing designs, but that's about it. Nothing too major. Moe's had... Ew, no, current Moses Bay, you can't top that shit. Motherfuckers really turned her into Aurelia, huh? But I think these look nice. I like the mechanic vibes they're giving off. And finally, we have Flack. Homie was originally a furry, and this is definitely the only furry I think looks good. Like, I'm definitely a fan of these designs. He was also planned to be a human before getting his robotic form. I have no thoughts on this. Head empty. And to end it off, we have his robot design, which we all know and love. And as you can see on the left, his designer's cut DLC body is here. Kinda glad they made it a reality. It looks cool. Now do the same for the Zane skin, please. Thank you. And that is concept art wrapped up. Time to talk about the huge deal within the art section, and that is the game's original engine. Now, this isn't as huge as Borderlands 1's art style change, but if you didn't know, the game originally ran on the same engine Borderlands 2 is on. They kept it like this for the entire first year of development, which ultimately led the game to be released at a later date than planned. Now, I believe what you're looking at on screen right now is footage from the original engine, and I think that because look how ugly everything else looks in comparison to what we have now with Unreal Engine 4. Like, the change is huge. Like, just take a look at Athena's. It's not just ugly, but it feels so much more claustrophobic and small. I don't like it. But yeah, I couldn't be more happy that they made the switch. Borderlands 3 is one of the prettiest games I have ever played, and the delay was 100% worth it. Art section over. Time to cover enemies. We're gonna start off big with the enemies, and the first will be a cut raid boss, and no, it is not Hemovorus, even though Hemovorus is a cut raid boss, so bam, that's them covered. Now, unless you were on Twitter at the time this was discovered, I don't think you'll know about this at all, so I'd say like 1% of you actually know about this fella, and this fella's name is, oh, drumroll please, Shadows the Invincible, and he's basically Katagawa Bull but on used cum needles. Now, the reason why we never saw Shadows is because he was the original Maliwan takedown raid boss, and that was up until he got replaced by Wotan. I kinda wish there was a randomized run feature where you could randomly alternate between these two raid bosses each run, as this guy seems pretty awesome. And whilst we're on the topic of Maliwan, we might as well talk about the spawn anchors. There isn't too much to talk about. They're anchors that spawn enemies. Yeah. Honestly though, seems like a fun challenge. Destroy the anchors or more enemies spawn. I love that. It seems like an actual fun mayhem mechanic. Ratch originally had more variants such as Lava Ratch, Ratchlings, a Bertha, and a Ratch Hive, which just looks terrifying, man. And to end this weird Ratch family tree, we have Tinks on a Ratch. Swag. Okay, now we're getting onto the final few categories where every single one is just as important as the other, so the order doesn't really matter too much now. We'll go with maps. Now, originally, Promethea was covered with Handsome Jack statues. Why? Well, you'll find out when we get to the story section. It'll make more sense there. Also, is it just me, or did Promethea originally look more futuristic? I don't know why. It's all the highways that give me that feel, but maybe I'm just going insane. Okay, I think the Handsome Jackpot was one of the best looking DLCs we've ever had, with some amazing locations to explore, but what if I told you it seemed like there was more planned? What you're looking at on screen now is an area called the Death Star, which shows some more locations we were going to visit. One being Pirate City, which we do have concept art for, and the other being Pharaoh Retreat, which you'll just have to use your imagination for. These both seem really nice. I don't know how this motherfucker Jack fits all of this into one casino, but aight man, we'll just roll with it. I know a ton of people hate Sanctuary 3 and Borderlands 3. Some think it's too claustrophobic, others think it's just a complicated mess. Well, originally it had a completely different layout. Now this was very early in development, so I highly doubt it made it far, but from what we can see, it definitely does seem a lot more organized. I personally don't mind Sanctuary 3, like I got used to it, but I do see how this could be more appealing to others. This one, okay, this one is an interesting one, you'll love it. Okay, so in case you didn't know, Krieg was originally supposed to return in the game's story, right? We'll also talk about that when we get to the story section, don't worry. But there is a cut planet in the game called Vulcan. Vulcan is also the name of the Roman god for fire and destruction. Yes, I did find that on Reddit. Do I sound like a philosopher to you? So it's pretty valid to think that this is the planet where we would meet Krieg. How he got there, I don't know. And to conclude the map section, I want to talk about the original boss arena for the Rampager. Now, don't get me wrong, I love what we have now, but come on, form your own mind here, I don't need to do it for you. God, this just feels so much more mysterious and Iridium related, man, I wish they kept this. It just looks so pretty too, like, look at the colours. Gameplay, it's time to discuss some cut action skills. We'll start with Zane since he has the least amount of scrapped action skills. He only has 2 and one of them is literally a reskinned Sentinel. Like literally, it's called the Sentry and it does the exact same thing his Sentinel does. It's definitely one of the sadder pieces of cut content that we have. But the Reality Tunnel is a cut ability that I do like and kinda wish they kept. The design is simple. Click a button and you warp to your desired location. Also, it looks like it would have multiple charges, so it would be great for getting Zane out of some sticky situations. Mose is the Vault Hunter we'll cover next, and she doesn't actually have any cut action skills. It seems as if Iron Bear was always a design which was set in stone, so instead we'll just talk about her actual cut skills. The first one was in the blue tree and it was called 5-year plan. The description states, and I quote, "The longer Mose goes without reloading, the more damage grenades deal." Sounds fun, would definitely be busted when paired with skills such as redistribution and some for the road. The next skill is boom, which simply increased grenade damage and splash radius. Basically just Tor cross promotion but exclusive to nades. It's crazy how basically with all of these grenade skills there's a possibility that they wouldn't have been fucking useless for a whole year. Moving on to the red tree, we have an augment named Slagrosif Flyro what? Basically what this did is every 3 hits, a percentage of your existing damage would be added onto your attacks as random elemental damage. In the red tree, we also had Full Can of Warpass, which yes, is in the game now, but it worked differently at first. Originally, if you were at full shields, you gained a higher action skill cooldown rate, and yeah, that's it. Nothing too special, but it's a low tier skill, what you expect. And that is it for Mose. Now we're gonna cover Amara, and god, she has so much, it's ridiculous, so we're gonna try zoom through this. First up, she had an action skill called Phase Dash, where as the name suggests, Amara dashes into her enemies and knocks them up into the air, dealing damage. Now on paper, this sounds cool, but I'm actually glad it got scrapped, and that's because Blitz exists. You can match this action skill with different augments, which is pretty cool, but one scrapped augment which stands out to me is called Multi, where after killing one enemy with the action skill, Amara will dash to even more nearby enemies. And I'll admit, okay, as useless as I think this action skill would be, it does look pretty fucking cool. Her second action skill we'll be talking about is Phase Blast, and it basically creates a beam that can be controlled to deal damage. Judging by the fact that Amara waves her hands around like mad here, I assume this beam would scale off of melee damage, and yo, this low-key looks like some anime shit, bro. Phase Blast, more like, ayo girl, let me blast on your face. But you know what looks more anime than Phase Blast? Reworked Phase Blast, baby. This went from a beam to a literal Rasengan, and wow, what? We also have Phase Link, literally just ties that bind from eBay. It reuses the same hand animation and everything, like, no. That was Phase Melt, which felt like Moses' security bear as an action skill, just overall feels kinda lackluster. Phase Web is mid. Now Amara was also shown off with combos, which... holy shit, oh my god. The Siren can string together her action skills to perform powerful combos. With just the action skill button, she can perform up to 3 action skills. The player chooses which action skill to perform at which point of the combo. Why did they remove this? It sounds so cool, man. Now yeah, sure, it does look awkward at some points, okay, I will admit that much, but what do you expect, man? This is so early in development, it's a given. I'm sure they definitely would have have fleshed out more if they made the final cut of the game. And now it's time for the final Vault Hunter, Flak. And oh my god, if you thought Amara's action skills were awesome, wait until you hear this. Flak had... fuck all. I got you excited for no reason. But yeah, nah, genuinely, I'm being honest here. This man has always had the same exact action skills since his development started. Nothing's been cut here. And that's it for skill trees. Definitely some amazing stuff here, but now it's time to move over to the second to last category. Weapons, the staple of the franchise and what really makes it stand out from any other shooter. Now, there's a lot. There's definitely a lot. And I assume we're counting grenades as weapons, so we'll start with the Bloodsucker. This is literally the trooper's organ, meaning it sucks, but it's a bit better. The difference between the two is that the Bloodsucker heals you and removes any unwanted dots placed on you. This is literally the inspiration behind the saying, if you polish a turd, it's still a turd at the end of the day. But Krill, on the other hand, is amazing, and this nade does so much to the point where it's difficult to explain what it does, so I'll summarize it in the easiest way possible. Child grenades. And with this being a Home and Atlas grenade, you already bet it slaps on a Moe's Spec into Vampire. This would genuinely be a great and probably a better replacement for the Cloning Maddening Tracker. And the last grenade is the Purple Slider, and for whatever reason, this absolutely bangs. The Slider is a purple grenade, and I would describe it as a Lightspeed X fastball. Basically, whenever you hit an enemy with this grenade, it ricochets to other nearby enemies, and if this was in the game, I'd say it'd be like a top 3 grenades for damage. Really wish they kept this in. And that's grenades over. It's gun time, and what better way to start than letting you know that SNS munitions were originally back. Again, yeah, their logo was in the game files, so I assume they were originally going to be one of the main weapon manufacturers. Right now, all we know about SNS is that they make the loot beams all of your items have. It's been a while, and whilst I think they're overrated as hell, it'll be nice to see them make an appearance again as a weapons manufacturer. P2P Networker. I'm still waiting, Gearbox. I'm not gonna forget about this. This gun is basically a mix of the Kibsworth and the Redistributor. Seems like a good idea, but it's definitely not up to the same power as those two guns at all. Still waiting. Next is the Portals and Shy, and no joke, this is a regular Atlas gun. There's nothing special about it. Nothing. So, yeah. Moving on. We had the Ice Age, which is literally just the Nukem but cryo and with a bigger splash radius. One thing I'll say about this, good luck not getting yourself killed. There was the Bite Size, which seems to have been the popular cult weapon. As you can tell by the design, it's literally the Duke. I don't care, man, it's the Duck. It's basically the Duck. And it operates in the exact same way, except that this gun releases this purple explosion after each hit, which not only doesn't do anything, but it murders your eyesight. Yes, some people speculate this gun was made to test how many particles can be shown on screen. Others think that the explosion doesn't work because the gun isn't finished and that's why it's unreleased. But honestly, I have no idea. You'll have to decide which one it is for yourselves. This is the Ice Pick. It's literally just a normal melter, but legendary. It does do a lot of damage, but god, it feels so annoying to play with, and I can definitely see why they cut it. Of course, we had the TNTina, which is in the game now. The splash radius on this weapon is insane, but it makes sense because this weapon is based on Tiny Tina, so no complaints from me. Overall, very fun. We had the Purple Heckle and Hyde duo, which will pair together as they both dropped from, believe it or not, Heckle and Hyde on Eden 6. That and they're the only weapons on this list that are actually god-awful. The Heckle is guaranteed to be incendiary, and the Hyde will always be corrosive. They cannot be anointed, and both shoot extremely slow pellets, which you'll definitely miss 99% of the time. And even if you do hit your shots, the damage doesn't make up for the slow projectiles, so yeah, these guns just aren't fun to use at all, and they don't need to exist at all. And to end off the weapon section, we have the Pixie Dream Gun. Now, you know how when you use the crit, sometimes it can fall out of your hands upon a reload? Now imagine that, but even worse. This motherfucker runs away from you and you have to kill him to pick him back up. But as annoying as it can be, I actually like this. Obviously, it wouldn't be good for like serious endgame builds and whatnot, but early on in a playthrough, it'd be fun to mess around with, especially considering that despite the gimmick, it is a very strong weapon. And now, the final section. It is story time. But first, an ad. This video is sponsored by my own Discord server, just like in the Borderlands 2 video. Yeah, let's be honest, if you made it this far into the video and we're like, what, half an hour in, then you're either in love with me or you're in love with Borderlands. Or both. Which, in that case, why not join the server where everyone just vibes, talks about Borderlands, or hangs out together? Like, just look how polite these people are, why wouldn't you want to hang out with them? Link to the server will be in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Hope to see you there. Ad over. Time for the story. Firstly, as mentioned earlier, let's talk about why Handsome Jack was all over Promethea. It's because he originally made a return and was meant to be the main villain. Here, have a listen.
I mean, it's everything. He's right in your face. He's really funny. He's really engaging. And he really does some things to mess up your world as you get invested in it. But we really had to think about this. By the way, I'm going to let you in on a little trade secret. When we first started writing the story for Borderlands 3, Handsome Jack was going to return as the villain. Even though we killed him in Borderlands 2, and he appeared again in the pre-sequel as kind of a doppelganger, a playable character, and then Tales from the Borderlands, a holographic Jack. In fact, Handsome Jack's been around a lot for the last 7 years, and for a while, right at the beginning of Borderlands 3, we thought that we'll never make a villain that good. How can we ever make another Handsome Jack? We just need to use him again and find a way for him to be alive again and come back and all that. And then there was this really great fan video. It was about 2 years ago, came out and said, 7 things we don't want to see in Borderlands 3. And I think number 3 was Handsome Jack. So we listened.
Yeah, thanks Game Ranks with your 5-hour playtime take. I love you. I also talked about Krieg making his return, and that can be seen in these cut voice lines where him and Maya originally assisted us on Skywell.
Krieg, I need you to do this for me. Show the Vault Hunter the way, then we'll catch up. That sound good, big guy? Well, the universe provides in mysterious ways. Or something. Krieg, can you get us closer to the laser controls? Vault Hunter, you can trust Krieg. But if he offers you something to eat, don't. Catch up with you later. You must have made an impression on Krieg, Vault Hunter. He said to tell you he'd be your ribcage spelunker any day. Burnt turkey. Oh, the Firehawk. He's saying Lilith ordered him to infiltrate the COV, but he got captured by this chief, Crushjaw.
Yeah, feels bad, man, but hey, at least he returned in some capacity in the base game with the Echo Logs, you know, at least they didn't completely forget about him. There was also the Cut Maya funeral, which is probably the most popular piece of content there is for the entire franchise, and rightfully so. It's criminal that this never made it into the game. Gonna assume you've got your tissues ready, and here, I'm gonna let it play out in its entirety.
Vault Hunter, you're back. Why didn't you report on the EchoNet? Where's Maya?
She's gone.
Gone where? Athena's? Why would she leave you with me?
No, she's gone.
Oh, Maya.
No. There's no way.
It was that power-hungry bitch Tyrene. Trying to get Lilith wasn't enough for her?
It wasn't her. It was Troy.
So he can leech sirens besides his own sister. Fascinating. I wonder if that interferes with Maya's intent, too.
Not now, Patricia. Damn it! I should have dealt with those parasites. I should have been down there at the vault. It should have been me.
Don't be silly. What good would you have done?
Nothing. I was there. I saw it. I watched them turn my only friend into dust. Maya was one of the most powerful people in the universe. They just...
Ava.
You're not the Firehawk anymore, Lilith. There's nothing you could have done. She's gone, okay? This is all that's left of her. This is all I have left.
Everyone back to your stations. Prep the ship. We're going back to Athena's. Ava, I know it hurts right now, but this is important. Did you feel anything when Maya...
I watched her die! What do you think I felt?
That's not what I meant, but... If you need to talk...
I don't need anything, okay? I've lost people before. I had nothing before Maya found me, now I have nothing again. Hermes is all the family I need.
Vault Hunter, thank you for getting Ava back safe. Maybe you should go talk to her? There are 6 sirens in the universe, and I used to be one of them. I was once lucky enough to share that gift with Maya. It always seemed like she understood it better than me. She seemed to understand everything. That was who she was. She saw us all better than we saw ourselves. Goodbye, Maya.
Okay, I might need to talk. It's my fault. I got her killed.
It's gonna feel like that for a while, but it's not true. We both know Maya. She was always willing to risk her life for something that mattered.
Then why did she waste it on me?
Maya saw something in you. She believed in what you're going to become. She wanted to light the way for you when she was gone.
She used to tell me all about what you did on Pandora. About the Firehawk. She said you always ran toward the fire. You sounded like everything I ever wanted to be. Someone strong. A leader with a whole army at my back. Invincible.
None of us are, Ava.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, sounds like Maya left out a lot. I made my share of screw-ups. Running toward the fire all the time gets you burned.
But you never got anyone killed.
I did. Someone I cared about.
Oh.
We're going to Eden 6. Whatever Maya saw, I believe in it too. She wouldn't want this to be the end of your training. I know I'm not the Firehawk anymore, but together maybe we can figure it out. Will you come with us?
I want to make what Maya saw in me real. I want to learn and fight and be a Vault Hunter. I want to join the Crimson Raiders.
Then welcome to the family.
I just don't understand why you would cut something like this. Sad cutscene, and sad that they cut it, and I really wish that instead of them showing us this storyboard footage, they actually added this in-game with the director's cut DLC. Next up, we have this cut intro, which is just insane, holy fucking shit. We fight a Vault boss first thing, and the first boss was the Ruiner. Very cool, but I imagine it would be too fast-paced and insane for an introduction to the game. Believe it or not, Scooter actually laid pipe and had a child. They named him Scooper, and we don't know too much about him except that Ellie took care of him.
Scooper's working on the ship right now. Might want to knock before you enter. And tell him Aunt Ellie said he's got a lifetime to gawk at boobies, but it ain't every day you get a chance to leave Pandora. A few years ago, old Lil came by looking for recruits. Almost joined up with the Raiders again. Then fate dropped that stargazing nephew of mine at my door. I knew I had to raise Scooper as my own.
From what I've seen, people are very 50-50 on this whole thing. It'd be cool to have another relative of Scooter in the franchise, yeah, and I assume the interactions between him and Ava would be great, but at the same time, who the fuck did this man pipe and why did he never mention it? It's Scooter, he should be flexing this shit. I mean, come on, one of the last times you saw Scooter flirt with a female, he made her kill herself, so it doesn't really make too much sense, boss man. One of the most intriguing things here to me is that I know a lot of us got excited when we saw Aurelia, Hammerlock and Wainwright together in the BL3 trailer, when in the actual game, it wasn't like that at all, it was the complete opposite. I feel like they were teamed up in the original game. Yeah, there's dialogue in the game files suggesting that Wainwright wanted to give ownership of Jacobs to Aurelia, out of all people, until she betrayed them, leading them to set her on fire.
Now that we know for sure that Harpy Aurelia is in the league with the Calypsos, I can no longer allow the reins of the Jacobs Corporation to remain in her hands. I think it's high time for a change in leadership. Nevertheless, we're gonna use that bonfire to set that ice Harpy Aurelia on fire.
Now this, to me, is the coolest, biggest, and saddest piece of cut content in Borderlands 3, and it's Troy's arc past the Great Vault. What you're about to hear is his reaction after the Great Vault once he leeches too much power off of Tyreen and ends up killing her.
Tyreen, no! Cut the feed now! Turn off the goddamn cameras!
I know, I'm sad too. This really makes it seem like the whole streamer gimmick was just that, a gimmick to get people to join them. Troy clearly sounds tired of it, and this would have made his character so much more enjoyable. And yeah, Tyreen originally died here, but there was a popular rumor going around that he revives or anoints her, and that's because of the models in the game files titled Evil Troy and Evil Tyreen, which is very interesting and 100% better than what we ended up getting, for sure. And since we're this far into the story, let's discuss the final fight and ending. We don't know how much changed about the fight, for all we know it still could have been Tyreen the Destroyer, but we do have details of cut dialogue and who was involved. We know the B team, that's right, the B team was involved in the ending, with Brick saying things such as, "Vault Hunter, ammo for you." Yeah, I know I need to work on my Brick impression, there's no voice lines, it's just a cut script, so shut up. Mordecai saying, oh god, this one's gonna be worse, and Tina saying, "Vaulty Vault, shoot the bombs, shoot the adorable bombs." We ain't making it out of the hood, man. And then once you entered the vault after beating the boss, the Overseer, yeah, the Proving Grounds guy himself comes out of nowhere and says, "Redemption at last. But one sacrifice remains." Obviously referring to Lilith kamikazeing into Elpis. And yeah, that's it. Nothing seems too different, but just seeing these characters more involved, especially the Overseer within the story, is a huge W and a big L to Gearbox for removing it. Next up is the Second Stars DLC, or as I like to call it, the presumable alleged Safford DLC. I'm gonna let the existing dialogue play out in its entirety, so here, enjoy.
The Second Stars are either genius scam artists or insane idiots. They lure in gullible fools by telling them if you believe hard enough, your believings become real, you ken? Ever since the Second Star Gang took control of the cavern, I've told Cal to stay around the dry dock for safety. I can't be watching him all day. My punch slinging is all that keeps us with a roof over our heads. It's my lad Cal. He's run off. You must find him for me. I'd go myself, but my patrons always require new concoctions to salve their woes. Cal's the daydreaming type, always tinkering with gears and gadgets. Brilliant boy. Trouble is, he's gullible. Tell him there's soda pop at the bottom of a well and he'll jump before you say what flavour. Not surprised Cal swallowed that gang's elixir of lies. Boy's got a whole universe of imaginings in his head. You've got to get him out of there. He's the one with the brass hook on his hand. It is as I feared. I should have run those saccharine swindlers off this asteroid long ago, and now they've lured away my precious son with their snake oil. That's Cal's workshop. Spends most of his time there. See if he left any clues as to where he might have gone. Doom! The ashen taste of doom is upon my tongue, and it was I who mixed its foul cocktail. Will you help me, wandering stranger? The Second Stars have been running their recruitment at the old doll silo by the docks. Those corporate bunkers are nearly impenetrable. You'll have to convince them you want to join up. Here, this should get you in. I kicked them all out after they settled their tabs with this bogus cash. They looked at me like I was the crazy one. They believed it was real money. Use that as an entry fee, and they'll think it's a mountain of cash.
What's that? You ain't gonna bark in my ear every half minute. Say it ain't so.
Clap, clap, new kid. I don't know you, but our boss man says a fresh face is always welcome in the Second Stars, as long as you brought something for our donation box. Hachi machi, that's a ton of cash. Boss man is gonna love this. Application accepted. Come on in for your initiation trials. Hey, something's fishy. No one has that much money lying around. You're one of those fakey fake vault thieves. Application unaccepted. Second stars? Clap this sucker. Think you're so clapping badass, don't you? You want to get to me, you gotta go through imagination trials. Our boss man is a real vault hunter, and he designed it himself. No way a fakey fake claphead like you can make it through. Ha! See? You're just another clap for brains vault thief trying to play with the big kids. I was getting worried there for a second, but now I know you're doomed. The last trial is the Thresher of Bravery. Boss man says second stars aren't afraid of nothing. Not like scaredy cat vault hunters. Sucker! Only true believers can survive the flames. Vault thieves only believe in themselves. Hey, get out of there! Only our boss man and the mechanic go down there. Cheater! Hey, you can't use that. We only flip that for real initiates. Cheat! You're a clappin' cheater! Don't you dare pull that switch, cheater! Boss man says that's for believers! Real believers! Stop it! You're not believing, you're just cheating! You'll never be a second star like us! You'll never be one of us!
Not gonna lie, this boss man vault hunter from the imagination trials who resists fire sounds like Krieg. Ain't no way they cut my man from the game again. But honestly, sounds like a fun DLC. I like the idea of going through a bunch of trials, and I'm surprised they cut it considering so much voice acting was done already. And yes, that is it. What a long ass video. Thank you all for sticking around to the end if you made it here. High chance you're now depressed, and that makes two of us. Not gonna keep you around here any longer. You've already been here for however long this video is, over 40 minutes, so I'm just gonna say you should totally like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed. I make content all things Borderlands, so it's definitely worth sticking around. And the next cut content video, which should be Tales, will hopefully drop soon. That is the game with the most cut content, by the way. It's not dropping soon. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and man, I need sleep. Stay classy. Peace. Not the end of the video yet. The item that I did end up forgetting about is a shield by the name of the Meat Shield. This was originally obtainable somewhere within the Revenge of the Cartels event, and the effect of it is pretty cool and unique. The shield has a high capacity of 0, but in exchange gives you 100% max health. I can immediately think of this synergizing well with items like Zane's Infiltrator class mod, giving you more damage and movement speed the lower your shield is, meaning you will constantly be benefiting from this bonus to its full potential when having the shield equipped. But yeah, now that we've gone over the one item justifying a whole new 1 hour and 40-minute video, we can now roll the outro.